Good morning, everyone. Today, I am Anshul Yadav, and my friends Ravi Gupta and Abhishek Kumar are going to present on the effects of microphone position measurement error on RIR and its impact on speech intelligibility and quality. So, this is a paper by Aditya Raikar et al., which came in 2019, and we are going to see and try to reproduce it. So first of all, let us look at what room impulse response is. So RIR is basically the transfer function between the sound source and the microphone, which is the receiver in our case. So RIR is useful in lots of practical applications, such as the sound reproduction of geometry aware room, the room geometry reconstruction, and the robust automatic speech recognition, that is ASR. RIR estimates are based on the exact location of the microphones and speakers. So if there is a slight disturbance in the position of the microphone or the speaker, then the RIR gets distorted. So let us look at the prior work in the field of room impulse response. So previously, there has been some studies on the adverse impact of ambient noise on RIR measurement. It is very well explored in the literature, but there have been very few attempts in order for speech quality improvement using the RIR estimation. So those all of those attempts assume the location of the microphone position to be known a priori. So, for example, Florencio et al. 2015 used the map estimation of RAR in the single channel scenario, whereas Raikar et al. 2018 utilized the map for joint reverberation and denoising by considering noisy estimate of RAR to be known, whereas Mosepour et al. 2010 uses inverse filtering of RAR to maximize the skewness of LP residual. Similarly, Padaki et al. Used the LP residual spectrum for reverberation application. The thing that is common in all of these four applications is that they assume the location of the microphone position to be known a priori and to be fixed. So this gives us a motivation that in modern work environments, it is often the case that the location of microphone gets changed either due to some kind of routine maintenance or due to human interventions. Like someone after doing while doing experiment leaves the setup for some time and by mistake someone just changes the location of the microphone, then some error will be introduced in it. So there has been no study of this microphone position error introduced on the full early and late RIR measurement. So there is a very blatant need to study the effect of RIR variation due to this change in microphone position and how it affects the speech quality and the speech intelligibility. Let us look at the room impulse response generating function. So we have a function that takes in the speed of the sound, the sampling frequency, the location of the receiver and the source. Receiver in our case is the microphone, and the volume of the room, the reverberation parameter beta, and the number of samples n. So this gives the room impulse response RIR corresponding to all these parameters. So now the we try to permute the room position using an error sample from a Gaussian distribution in all three directions. So we then permute this using this errored microphone position in our RIR generating function and then compute the new RIR. So this is the H epsilon, which is the new RIR, which has some error introduced in it due to the error in the microphone position. So now let us look at the entire algorithm which the paper introduces. So basically you are given the receiver coordinates and you have all these parameters that I talked about earlier, and you fix some noise variance. You fix a variance for your noise sigma square, corresponding to which your noise is sampled from this Gaussian distribution. And we also consider two distances d1 and d2. So basically they are the cosine distance and the Euclidean distances. So what we do iteratively is that we generate the noises from this Gaussian distribution and permute it in our receiver location, and then just correspondingly find the without noisy RIR and the noisy RIR. So we just compute the distance between these two HRIRs, and we see that how the distribution looks like. So basically, we see that these are the results from the paper where they show that the measurement error is Gaussian. In this case, they fit a Gaussian basically, whose mean and variance are as follows. So we see that it is roughly a Gaussian as the paper claims, corresponding to both the Euclidean distance as well as the cosine distance. You can look at the like variances. So here it is very small, and for this cosine distance, it is slightly larger. So let us look at the results reproduced by us. So for Euclidean distance, we are getting like very small variances as seen earlier, and whereas for cosine distance, we are getting slightly larger variances. So this confirms with the paper results. So we have reproduced these results on our own using our own code. So now Ravi will talk about the signal model.
Here in the coming slides, I'll talk about how the signal is modeled in our reproduction of the paper. So for example, here we take the transmitted signal X, and there are few assumptions used in the model. The first one is that the transmitted signal X has a unit variance, and initial case samples of the RIR are a reasonable approximation of the whole RIR. Secondly, the received signal Y can be modeled as the convolution between the room impulse response H and the transmitted signal X. Also, it can be modeled as in the equation given XH plus A, where A is the additive white Gaussian noise in this case. Traditionally, RIR is estimated by correlating the transmitted signal X with Y such that the estimated RIR equals to X transpose Y. Here X is the vector of the transmitted signal. Now substituting Y, we get this following expression. Notice the two matrices here, X transpose X, which is the autocorrelation matrix, and the X transpose A, which is the cross correlation between the transmitted signal X and the additive noise A. Next slide, please. We take expectations on both sides. Now, ideally for a wide Gaussian signal, the autocorrelation matrix RXX, it is an identity matrix, and the cross correlation matrix between the transmitted signal X and the additive white Gaussian noise RXA should be zero because the noise is uncorrelated with the transmitted signal. Now, in the equation given below, we'll see how the estimated RIR relates to the actual RIR. Here we can see that the RIR has two error components. One is the uh, one is the divergence between the autocorrelation matrix and the identity matrix, and the other is a term representing the correlation between the transmitted signal X and the additive noise A. So the recorded speech relates to the erroneous RIR as given in the below equations. Now here we can see that the second term X delta H is similar to the additive noise term which was mentioned in the previous slide. So in this way we can relate the microphone position error analysis to the uh, error analysis done in the case of additive noise, which has already been solved in previous papers. Next slide, please. So now we evaluate our evaluate our algorithm on these few metrics which I'll detail below. The first one is signal to distortion ratio. Now the formula is given as shown here. S target is the reference signal and S cap is the estimated signal. The estimated signal is one in which the microphone position error is taken into consideration. The second metric is the normalized projection misalignment metric, NPM metric, which is calculated between the actual RIR and the estimated RIR at various error positions. Here H is the actual RIR and H cap is the estimated RIR, taking into account the microphone position error. The third metric is the short time objective intelligibility or STOI metric. Now STOI metric details the perception, details how clearly the sound is perceived by the listener. So this is a particularly important metric in the case of automatic speech to text or automatic speech recognition systems. Now, as you can see in the given formulas, we calculate the envelope linear correlation L between two vectors A and A cap. Here A cap is the here A and A cap are a measure of the magnitude spectrum of the short time Fourier transform, and mu in this case is the sample mean of A or A cap as given in the formula. After that, scalar D is calculated from this ELC metric. STOI is a scalar value which is D, which varies between -1 and 1, and the higher STOI the better the perception of the sound to the listener. Now Abhishek will continue with the experiments we did.
In the experiment, as mentioned by the author in the paper, we have also assumed the dimension of the room equal to 5 cross 5 cross 5. We have a like we have specified the location of source having x coordinate equal to 3 and y and z coordinate equal to 2. We have also specified the receiver position as 1 comma 2 comma 2. The reverberation factor theta we have assumed as mentioned by the author in the paper equal to zero point 0.3, and we have just assumed the speed of sound equal to 340 meter per second. Whatever the code that we have written, we are providing in our GitHub repository, and here is the link shown in this slide. So what we are essentially experimenting is that we are changing the microphone position, and we are obtaining all these error parameter SDR, STOY, and NPM. So we are using these three error metric for the analysis of the sound which is being produced by the speaker and the sound which is being uh, perceived by the listener via microphone. So one thing that has to be observed here is that as the microphone position is changing from 1 centimeter to 50 centimeter, the SDR which is falling down and STOY value which lies between 0 to 1, it is also having a decreasing trend, and NPM value is actually increasing. So when the microphone position error is changed from 1 to 2 centimeter, on an average, the SDR value it falls by a numerical value of 5. So here we have plotted the result, like we have changed the error and we have got the corresponding value of SDR, STOY, and NPM. So like in the paper, the author has obtained the decreasing trend of SDR. As the microphone position error was increased, the SDR value was decreasing. We have also got a similar trend. One point that has to be noted here is that the value in the y-axis is not exactly the same that is being obtained by the author in the paper, and it is because of the different sampling rate uh, used by the author and us by sampling the error from the Gaussian distribution that we have assumed for the noise. And it is the result of the NPM, and the y-axis is the NPM and TP, and the x-axis is the microphone position error. So as again we are increasing the error, the value is increasing, and in the paper also the trend shown by the author also shows the increasing uh, trend of NPM with respect to the microphone position error. Next slide, please. In STY as well, as the microphone position was increased, the value was decreasing. Initially, it was 1 when the microphone position error was very 0, uh, equal to 0. Then the value of STY was close to 1 because in that case, the microphone was able to map the exact amount of information which is being produced by the speaker. But as the microphone position error is increasing, that value is coming down, which basically signifies that the amount of information perceived by the listener is not as what is being produced by the speaker. Next slide. So in the observation, the impact of RIR has been studied by three different parameters: STOY, NPM, and SDR. So STOY, it basically signifies the amount of information which is being perceived by the listener, and in a sense, uh, it is it is also the amount of information which is also recorded by the microphone. And like we have shown the decreasing trend as the microphone position error was changing. So whenever there is a very small variation in the microphone position, then it leads to a very significant degradation in the speech intelligibility. So like I have mentioned in the data section that on an average, when the microphone position is changing from 1 to 2 centimeter, on an average there is loss of 5 dB in SDR, 0.02 in STY, and 6 in NPM. That signifies the loss as the microphone position is changing by a very small amount from 1 to 2 centimeters. About the future work, like in the similarity comparison of the H and H epsilon, we have used the cosine and the Euclidean metric. But for the future work, the KL divergence metric can also be used for that. Uh, the uncorrelated noise can also be studied for the impact on RIR, as we have plainly assumed that the noise follows the Gaussian distribution. We have also used a very standard function RIR as mentioned by the author in the paper, but some of the other variant of RIR function are SMIR, which is used for a spherical microphone array that can also be used for like further analysis on the impact of RIR. And we have only assumed the noise to be Gaussian distribution, so various distribution can also be assumed, and that will lead to different results, maybe having increasing accuracy of the matrix that we have calculated. So these are the things that can be considered as the future work. About the references, so these are the references that we have used. Thank you.